gauntlet. I have to imagine there is no question I can ask you that you haven't been asked before. What is the one question that you wish you have been asked this election cycle that you haven't?
The question may be, why is it too late for establishment politics and establishment economics to address the many crises facing this country? You going to ask me that question?
Yes, sir.
All right, that's a great question, by the way. I'm glad you asked me that question. And the answer is that if we are going to deal with income and wealth inequality, if we're going to deal with low wages, if we're going to deal with a disastrous trade policy, if we're going to deal with the fact that we pay the highest prices in the world for prescription drugs, if we're going to deal with climate change, we need leadership now that has the courage to stand up to the billionaire class, to the 1%, to corporate interest whose greed has done so much to destroy the middle class in this country. And I believe that anyone who looks at my record in politics and the agenda that we have for this campaign will see that I am the candidate prepared to stand up to those powerful big money interests.
In Connecticut, we're not just losing jobs to companies overseas, but to companies right over our border. What do you think Connecticut can do to help retain jobs? And what would you plan to do as president to help boost job growth?
The president deals with 50 states. And one of the dumb things that is going on in this country is you're seeing this state competing with that state, giving more tax breaks to a large corporation. And that corporation laughs all the way to the bank while the taxpayers in that given state have to pick up the burden to subsidize these large corporations. I don't think working people should be subsidizing large corporations. And I think that there is a way, number one, to end disastrous trade policies so the corporations are not going to China or Mexico but reinvesting in this country. And number two, I think it is a bad idea for states, each state having serious problems, having to compete against each other to bribe a corporation to come to their particular state. We can come up with policies that prevent that from happening.
Senator, you are in a state that's commonly referred to as a amnesty state for undocumented immigrants. Do you hope that that policy is adopted nationwide, and under a Sanders administration, what would that look like?
Well, what it would look like is the need to pass comprehensive immigration reform. That's what we need to do. 11 million people in this country are undocumented. Some of them are being exploited economically. Many of them are living in fear. We need to pass comprehensive immigration reform and a path towards citizenship. And if Congress is not prepared to do its job in pursuing that legislation, as president, I would use the executive powers inherent in the presidency to do everything I can to improve that situation.
On the GOP side, Donald Trump is leading in the state of Connecticut. Is there anything you admire about Donald Trump?
Well, all I can tell you is Donald Trump's views on virtually every issue are different than mine. I think his demeanor in terms of insulting so many people every day, you know, whether it's Mexicans or Muslims or women or veterans or African Americans, Donald Trump is not going to become president because the American people do not want a president who insults people. We want a president, I think, who brings us together, not divides us up.
Is there one thing you can think of
that
you like?
Yeah, I really like that hairdo of his. You know, it makes my hair look. That's about it. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Senator.